glad you think we bring out the best in each other.
Yeah.
Sometimes we bring out the worst in each other as well. And when you're around somebody that much, there's got to be that push and pull. We are, sisters at this point, really. And people used to always ask us if we were sisters, and we're like, do we look alike? But
on the phone, you can't tell us apart.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know who was talking if you talked to us on the phone.
That should have been a question that we answered for each other, because I have no idea what you would be doing. This is all you're supposed to do.
You ready, sis? We're the people that always say yes to an opportunity to go somewhere, meet new people, make music with as many people as we can. But there is a spirituality and a fellowship that you get through playing music.
And you hear certain songs and they knock the wind out of you the first time you hear them, and then they continually do, because anybody who has an interest in traditional music has a duty and like a fear that this music is going to be lost. And if it is not passed down, because it's not written out, it's not put in standard notation, but if it's not passed down from me to her, from her to you, then in 20 years that song's not going to be around.
Well, Dawn said something about songwriting one time, an idea behind it, as if you've got all of these ideas and lines that float in the air, and you are the vehicle that is pulling them out of your subconscious and putting them and organizing them into a song.
And that's the hard part.
And that's where you're the vehicle, you're the delivery system to pull those things out of you, organize them, and create something that hopefully will bond people or bring their own stories to life.
Playing music with other people is the joy of music to me, because that's how I started playing. Music does not and should not be judged in such a harsh way where it's like, here's somebody who's been playing classical music since they were 6 years old, and here's somebody who plays hillbilly banjo for 5 years. They can play together and still have a great time. That's like music is the all-time connector.
We want to experience everything that we can to fully get the human experience. And for us as artists, and specifically as musicians, the way that you fuel that is to just play as much music with as many people as you can, especially your heroes.
Because you're good banjo-wise where you are, but if
Figured.
But if you're vocally wanting to get into it, it's more on the side.
Okay.
Yep.
Altana, could you turn that banjo up?
What? Turn it up?
Every year we go to a camp. It is a priority in our life to go to a camp called Cowan Creek Mountain Music School in Letcher County in Whitesburg, Kentucky. And it is when the entire Kentucky traditional music and like old-time community gets together, and we bond and we stay in this awful motel and we suffer together. And what ties us all together is we love this music and we love to learn from one another. And we immediately became friends with a man named Jimmy McCowan. He was a huge fan of aviation, and he was like an airplane pilot. Yeah, he was a pilot and a mechanic, and he was one of the best Kentucky fiddlers and banjo players that has ever come out of Pike County. And he had many friends, and he had done the same thing that we do, get together with his buddies and learn the old songs. And when we were at Cowan Creek one year, I remember we were sitting on that rock by the playground, and Montana got her phone out and recorded him showing her this song on the banjo called Octavia Triangle. And it was a song that his mother, Frona, had written about a love triangle, but also a mining disaster. And she was telling...
it's double sad. Super sad.
Super sad. And in the song, the whole idea behind it is she tells her husband to go to work, and she says, I hope the slate falls down on top of your head and kills you tonight. And that's exactly what happened to this person when they went to work that evening. And this was talk in her town, and she was like, I'm going to write a song about that. And so when we recorded that song, we recorded it with Jimmy. And Jimmy's playing banjo on it. And we got to record with him his mother's song. And it was the last recordings that he ever made, because he tragically passed away during the pandemic of just a heart attack. And so we got to record with him one of his mother's songs. And so, you know, that right there, that feeling was so heavy and beautiful. Like, just being in there. I mean, I brought a pack of Bud Heavy, and we sat there and listened to this song that we just recorded together. And me and Jimmy sat on the couch and drank Budweiser. And it was just a wonderful experience because he was in his 70s.
Way back in Davy Coleman, where the air is so hard to breathe, there's a working man, they call him Willie. He's a working hard for a woman he cannot please. Well, his best friend started talking to him. Oh, let me tell you, Lord, if I can, while you work down here in this dirty coal mine, your woman's running around town with another man. Well, the very next day he asked her about it. Oh, if the story he'd heard was true. Oh, she got so mad, she cussed and shouted. And when you go to work tonight, I hope you've seen the last of you. That night down in Davy Coal Mine, where the air is so hard to breathe, while the top fell in on little Willie. He was working hard for a woman he could not please. Now she just stares out the window of their camp house up on the hill. She's a pining away her life of sorrow, just a wishing she hadn't been so mean to little Will. Way back in Davy Coal Mine, where the air is so hard to breathe, while the top fell in on little Willie. But he was working hard for a woman he could not please. Yeah, he was working hard for a woman he could not please.
we've heard Jimmy as an old man sing that song. We have vinyl records of him with his family band, the Outdoor Plumbing Company, of him as a young man singing that song. And we have a recording of his mother singing that song.
Yeah.
So we have all of those different versions.
And it all goes back to what I said earlier, like everyone has a duty, to keep this stuff alive. If we hadn't sat there and I said, hey, I heard you have a song that you do that your mother wrote, can I hear it? And he played it for me, and I have this nifty phone device, Jimmy passed away a few years later, just a couple years later. And his wife of 59 years, she also passed away in the last year. So those were the two people who played that song all the time. I don't really know anybody else who plays it. So I want to teach that song to as many people as I can. If there's ever a banjo player that says, I can't play it like Jimmy, but I can kind of like hint around at it.
Well, he played it different. He had different ways
He
of
played
playing
it different every time.
Which is cool.
But, we have a new version. It's not quite like Miss Frona's. It's not like Jimmy and Ada's. It's our version.
And we do it differently every time we do it.
Yeah.
However we're feeling.
I think it's kind of cool, actually. I mean, it's a mine disaster song.
Life's happening out there.
I was at CD Central in Lexington, one of our favorite record shops, and I went in there, and they have a huge selection of local music. And I found a Kentucky old-time music recording set, and I listened to the whole thing one night. I had it on, and I was like doing things around the house, and the songs that moved me, I remember the songs that I was like, who is this guy, were all by this fella named Alfred Carnes. And he preached as a Baptist preacher in Bell County, Kentucky, down there in like Lake Cumberland area. And he was a part of the original Bristol session recordings. And when I heard his voice, I immediately just held on to every word. There's just, when you hear it, you're like, I cannot get this out of my head. And it was just so powerful.
He's a Baptist preacher, too, right? Mm-hmm. So those guys, they know how to project.
Entertain.
And entertain.
And
that
just,
kind of stuff.
And I also was like, what? This guitar, like his guitar playing was so outrageously like captivating and booming and just as huge as his voice was. And so I started kind of looking, and I had to do the deep dive into that. And I found out that he had recorded with the Bristol Sessions, and he recorded like 6 songs. And then it was just, he didn't like the musician's life. It was a little too, wasn't on the straight and narrow. And it, I think, made him very uncomfortable. So he just decided to resign and hang up music. He's like, And so he just went back to preaching at the pulpit. And those 6 songs, I burn them up. I love every one of them. And they're very heavy and biblical. And I just love the intensity in which he sings. And the song We Shall All Be Reunited is one that I can sing in the Kentucky circles, and almost everybody will always sing the chorus along with us, which is fun.
And that closes the gospel record.
Yeah, it's the last song on the gospel record.
And we put that gospel record out like right before the pandemic, so I just now made that connection. Like the last song on the gospel album before the pandemic is We Shall All Be Reunited.
But we're going to have to take a little break.
We're going to take a break.
Where is now my father's family that was here so long ago, sitting round the kitchen fireside, brightened by the rutted glow? We shall all be reunited in that land beyond the skies, where there'll be no separation, no more marching, no more sighs. distant, and with others made their home. Some upon the world of waters, all their lives chose to roam. We shall all be reunited in that land beyond the skies, where there'll be no separation, no more darkness, no more sighs. Some have gone from us forever, for with us they could not stay. They have all dispersed and wandered, gone away, so far away. We shall all be reunited in that land beyond the skies, where there'll be no separation, no more marching, no more sighs. In that land of pure delight, where no sickness or no sorrow will our joys there ever blight. We shall all be reunited in that land beyond the skies, where there'll be no separation, no more marching, no more sighs, no more marching,